Good morning and welcome to Korea Today, live from Seoul.
For the first time since taking office, President Park Geun-hye will share her thoughts with the local and foreign media in a press conference this morning. She'll unpack her New Year's agenda for the country before taking questions from the reporters.
And Korean Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se and U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry will hold talks on how to deal with North Korea. Details coming up in the headlines.
And are asset management companies the answer to boosting Korea's finance sector? One paper thinks so, coming up on In Print.
There was a secret behind figure skater Kim Yona's winning of the World Championships last year. It's nothing like what you'd imagine, so stay tuned to find out what it is.
And speaking of Kim Yona, just 1 month before the Sochi Olympics, the Queen of Ice has returned to her first domestic competition since her injury. SJ has a look at Kim Yona's performance. Resolutions made, resolutions broken. Losing weight, quitting smoking, or being more productive. What commitments have people made this year and how to make them stick on Monday, January 6th, 2014.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
And thanks for tuning in. You're watching Korea Today on a Monday morning. Hope you had a great week and maybe checked out some winter festivals that are taking place across the country, like Young did.
That's right. I did have a chance to check out one in Gangwon-do Island. But first of all, I think the warmer weather is a blessing for some. But for these winter festivals, it can be a curse because 100,000 people showed up, for example, to the Hongcheongang Winter Festival. And many were turned away because of the thickness of ice. And as you mentioned, I went to Gangwon-do, and that was the Bingeo Chukje, or the Smelt Festival. And that was actually quartered off as well. Only a limited amount of space was used for the fishing, and the festivities were actually on halt and delayed.
That's right. Due to the warmer temperatures, organizers of these winter festivals are finding themselves to be in a bit of a pickle, and that they are coming up with various other ideas to keep the visitors entertained and to have them attract more visitors, such as the bare hand fishing that we showed our viewers a couple of days ago, where they just jump in and try to catch fish with their bare hands, and other events to keep the kids and the participants entertained.
That's right. Those activities are being planned as we speak. But if you do want to get the full experience of the winter festivities, you might just want to wait just a little bit until it gets colder.
That sounds like a better idea. Let's get a check on the day's headlines with Na Hyun-kyung.
In the meantime, Korean Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se is scheduled to hold talks with his U.S. counterpart John Kerry in Washington Tuesday local time. North Korea policies and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's recent controversial visit to the Yasukuni Shrine will be some of the issues that top the agenda. Yoon and Kerry will coordinate the two countries' North Korea policies following the execution of Pyongyang's longtime second-in-command Changsung. They will also discuss how to restart the stalled six-party nuclear disarmament talks.
There have been numerous discussions about North Korea's nuclear issue over the past 2 to 3 months through various channels. It will be a good time to check on the progress and discuss how to deal with Pyongyang from this point on.
Minister Yoon is also expected to indicate what Seoul's stance is on Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's visit to the Yasukuni Shrine, where Class A war criminals are enshrined. Washington says U.S. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel has urged his Japanese counterpart Itsunori Onodera on the phone to improve relations with neighboring countries after Abe's visit fueled anger in Korea and China. And North Korea says the South has, quote-unquote, thrown a wet blanket over Pyongyang's will to improve inter-Korean relations, citing South Korea's New Year's military drills near the border with the North last week. Pyongyang's Committee for the Peaceful Reunification of Korea says the drills were practice for invading North Korea. The committee claims Seoul has no will to improve its relationship with Pyongyang and has decided to continue its path of confrontation, adding saying that the fate of inter-Korean relations depends on South Korea's attitude. This comes after North Korean leader Kim Jong-un delivered a New Year's speech calling for improved South-North relations, and also after President Park Geun-hye said this year would serve as an important phase for opening an era of peace on the Korean peninsula. Korea is trying to proclaim its sovereignty over territorial waters by building marine research stations, says China's state-run paper Global Times. The report published over the weekend called Seoul's plan to build those research centers a cunning move to extend its exclusive economic zones overlapping with China's. A senior Chinese expert was quoted as saying Korea's plans conflict not only with common sense, but also with international law. Seoul and Beijing have been holding talks since 1996 to settle drawing a median line for their respective exclusive economic zones in the West Sea, as well as for the East China Sea. Since its completion in 2003, Korea has been running a research station on Yeodo, a submerged rock mass lying on the overlapping zones.
And good Monday morning, everyone. Time for a look through your newspaper headlines. We have a unifying front page image today. As you can see, Korea's skating darling Kim Yona wrapped her last event ahead of the Sochi Winter Olympics in Russia next month. Ilbo has a front page image, an intense gaze of the reigning Olympic champion. And the image title reads, Sochi Gold in Sight. And the caption adds that Kim Yona triple-luthed her way through the national championship yesterday with a near perfect free skate. We will have much more on that story, along with projections on how she will do at the Winter Games with sports guy S.J. Lee coming up. So we'll leave that story there for now. Meanwhile, taking the front pages on a couple of our dailies are issues related to the regional elections upcoming in June as rival political parties gear up for them. Now, on that note, Ilbo's main headline proposes create a panel to screen candidates of June 4th regional elections, and the subheadlines adding that regional government should create a citizen panel that would serve as a truth inspector of sorts to catch any false claims and speeches or debates, and to keep any unqualified candidate or outlandish pledge from gaining traction. Meanwhile, our next newspaper also has a story related to the regional elections. It reads right here, ruling party calls for abolishing district council, but keeping right to nominate provincial leaders. This as rival lawmakers are set to discuss political reform at a parliamentary special committee this week. And the paper forewarns of more bickering at the special committee as this revised posture by the Saenuri party represents a step back, which had pledged to give up its right to nominate provincial leaders such as mayors, provincial governors, and head of boroughs at the end of the 2012 presidential race. Now, Gyeongyang-Shinmun has its eyes on labor issues as the headline reads, indirect employment. It's a new class, referring to dispatch and labor-type jobs such as cleaning, maintenance, and security. It tells the story of one day-to-day construction worker who was unable to receive compensation on a work injury because he was contracted to 4 different business entities and each denied responsibility. In the paper, they're saying that he is stuck on the lowest rung of the labor ladder. All right, let's go ahead and wrap things up with a look at Mail Business newspaper's main headline. Right over there, it reads, asset management companies exceed value of large investment banks. BlackRock's $4 trillion overtakes Germany's GDP. This is apparently the first in an upcoming series that the Daily will dedicate to make a case for Korea to invest in nurturing asset management firms to bolster its finance industry over investment banks. And this is because because even Wall Street is seeing seismic shifts that puts asset management firms in the spotlight, the article reports. Case in point is global asset management firm BlackRock, which manages, as of late September, $4.1 trillion worth of assets, a figure higher than the GDP of Germany at $3.48 trillion, and the UK as well at the very end is $1.16 trillion, representing Korea's GDP. The article adds that asset management firms remain calm even in the face of the global financial crisis and grew even in their influence. The contribution rate of asset management and wealth management in the U.S. Bank's overall sales figures grew from 23% to 28% between the years of 2007 and 2012, while that of investment banks and trading shrunk in the same period from 64% to 57%. And with that, we'll wrap your look at what's in print on this Monday. Next up are your closing numbers from Friday's market action.
And as we mentioned at the top of our program, the temperature has been unusually warm for this winter.
Personally, I like it. I like this warm temperatures, but apparently the cold spell will come back to haunt us. And for a closer look at the weather conditions for today, we go to our Lee, who joins us from Gyeonggi-do. Good morning.
Good
I want to
morning.
see some snow.
It's good news for her that it's not
It's
that
winter,
cold.
for God's sake.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Monday. Today, I am reporting live from Namyangju, Gyeonggi-do Province. Now, this morning, it is still a bit dark, but we are starting off with clear skies. Temperatures right now are slightly chilly. It is negative 3.4 degrees Celsius. It does feel a lot colder because the sun isn't up yet. But once the sun rises, our temperatures will start to get warmer. And later in the day, our conditions will be quite mild with our highs reaching up to 6 degrees. Now, these mild conditions are going to continue until tomorrow. But on Wednesday, we are expecting to receive nationwide snow or rain. And on Thursday, the cold snap will return, bringing down our lows all the way down to negative 10 degrees Celsius. So we should prepare ourselves for that. And make sure to enjoy some outdoor activities before it gets a little too cold again. With that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the highs for today. Here in Seoul, Daejeon and Gangneung's highs are going to reach up to 6, Daegu and Gwangju at 8, Busan the warmest at 11, and Jeju at 9 degrees. That's all I have for the weather. I'll be back in the latter half.
Quite impressive,
Perfecto.
Right. This past weekend, all eyes were on the National Figure Skating Championship as Kim Yona participated in what was her last competition before the Sochi Winter Games. And to break down her latest performances, our sports guy SJ Lee joins us. Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, before we did say that 2014 is the year of the Horus, but it's also going to be the year of Kim Yona as well, of course, with the Sochi Winter Games a month away. But, you know, going into this weekend with the National Figure Skating Championships, we had no idea how impressive she was going to get. And of course, on Saturday, Kim Yona performing to Send in the Clowns for her short program was absolutely flawless, breaking the 80-point mark for the first time ever as she scored 80.60. Now, on the following day, it was time for her free skating as she performed to Adios No Niño, and despite a slight mistake on her jumps here and there, she's still able to score 147.26 for a total of 227.86, missing the world record from the 2010 Vancouver Games by just 0.5 points. So absolutely amazing.
That's right. I mean, she came back from an injury, competed in her first competition, did very well, and came to Korea for her domestic fans and scored well on this as well. Now, she achieved a score of 80%. She surpassed 80 points, on her short program, and that's the first time ever, right? But it's not being recognized worldwide.
That's right. Now, 80 points, it's amazing. And I've never, obviously, no one's ever, surpassed the 80-point mark. But the thing is, the National Figure Skating Championships isn't recognized as an international event. Now, in order for a world record to be called a world record, it has to be an international event like the World Championships, like the Winter Olympics and so forth. But I think, the world record is not the important thing here. I think it's what she's been able to do with her short program that was amazing. And of course, going into the Winter Olympics, she was really focusing on this short program as well, because just like it says, it's a short program and very little time to showcase all this. So I think that's the most impressive part, that she was able to have a flawless performance.
She might even be able to do this in Sochi.
Exactly. A lot of people are saying this. They're saying, well, 80 points, but you know what? She's only going to get better and better, and she has, certain things that she wants to work on. So you're right. We might possibly see another 80-point mark in the short program in Sochi.
And she did make a couple of mistakes here and there in her free skating performance, but she made it up by doing triple lutz, I believe, in the award ceremony, right?
Right, exactly. And what the thing is with her...
That's the jump I missed.
The minor mistakes that she did make, like I said, are minor. It weren't major mistakes. And whether it be like the single jumps, it was supposed to be a double jump, but she missed her timing, and she kind of went into a single jump. But I think for her, she has, us, I guess, as, watching Kim Yona, we thought it was perfect. But for her, she thought she had certain things to work on. And she actually said a couple of things about what she needs to work on going into Sochi Winter Games. Let's take a listen.
The most important thing is to work on the completion of my performance and the program overall. Also, I still need to work on my expressions and choreography.
I mean, what a lot of people like about Kim Yona is how confident she is all the time, and not to mention the open practice sessions she had. I mean, not a lot of players or skaters have an open practice session open to the media before like a huge event like the Sochi Winter Olympics.
That's right. I mean, a lot of these figure skaters do have open session practices, but not before a major event. They're a month away from the Winter Games. And even Asada Mao, she doesn't really reveal her practice, and it's only through certain media outlets, through news, that we hear about the quote-unquote the triple axels that she apparently was able to succeed in. But it shows what kind of athlete she is. She's full of confidence, and what makes Kim Yona so great is the fact that she does so well under pressure. And you can understand this, despite the fact that it wasn't an international event, she was performing for the last time as an active figure skater here in Korea, and there was a lot of pressure on her, and yet she was able to break the 80-point mark and also, score the second highest that she's ever done in her career as well. So, Winter Game in Sochi coming up soon, in a month away. I think even despite all the pressure on her, I'm pretty sure she'll have a very successful Olympic event there.
Oh, super work ethics, nerves of steel. What more can you ask for in an athlete?
We have to stop gushing over this. But she is really perfect.
That's right. We'll be looking forward to her performance in Sochi.
Thank you, SJ.
No problem.
Thank you very much. All right, still ahead on Korea today. In East Timor sits the cradle of elite education, and the National University of East Timor. Just last year, a Center for Korean Studies opened its doors, where students learn not only Korean, but about Korea's history. Behind all of this is Professor Choi Chang-won.
Let the shopping begin here in Korea. There's a grand shopping festival that's underway here in Korea at some 27,000 shops, where you can get some very good deals of up to 50% off.
I thought the shopping was over after Christmas, but no, it begins.
No,
as
it's still ongoing.
That's right. It's a 45-day event, and it's geared for foreigners, foreign visitors, and foreign residents. And of course, they can get exclusive deals at participating vendors nationwide. We'll get a look at the Korea Grand Sale.
Seoul's Dongdaemun area this past Sunday.
In the midst of large crowds, the opening ceremony of the Korea Grand Sale is taking place. The Korea Grand Sale 2014 is a shopping event for foreign tourists and foreign residents in Korea. Hosted by the Visit Korea Committee, there are 118 companies, roughly 27,300 venues, and 17 traditional markets nationwide that are taking part.
1, 2, 3! 코리아 그랜드 세일의 성공적인 행사를 기원하겠습니다.
The Korea Grand Sale is a shopping tourism event for foreign visitors. The month of January and February is the off-season for tourism in Korea. So by holding this event now, we hope to encourage tourists to visit Korea. Good bargains are offered on products popularly purchased by foreigners, so hopefully many tourists will come to shop in Korea.
A third of all foreign visitors say they come to Korea to shop, making up for the largest group of tourists. Following shopping, people said they come to admire the natural scenery, enjoy the food, history, and cultural relics of the country. Since shopping is the main reason why tourists visit Korea, many people are showing interest in the annual Korea Grand Sale. During last year's event, more than 1.5 million tourists visited the country, and sales hit roughly $45 million. At the Incheon International Airport, the first gateway to Korea, there was also a special welcoming event for incoming foreigners.
This is our 4th annual event. We planned various events so foreigners can experience the generosity of Korea's giving away culture. Also, not only are there bargain sales, but other opportunities to experience Korean culture like performances, lodging, and various K-pop events.
On opening day of the Korea Grand Sale, all visiting foreigners received a small gift and flowers as part of a warm welcome.
It's beautiful. It's nice to welcome the visitor like this.
Okay, I know the place like Gangnam to shop, like Myeongdong. There's a lot of cosmetics there, so I'm excited to go there.
The Korea Grand Sale is being held in areas across Seoul, including Gangnam and Myeongdong, as well as other major regions in the country. Visitors can receive discounts at department stores and duty-free shops, as well as get coupons for hotel stays and tickets to performances and concerts, along with various other benefits. Since this is an event for foreigners, interpretation services are offered, as well as free Wi-Fi zones.
It's really great that here in Korea, especially for foreign people also, there are many special prices, products, and I'm really happy that.
I think it's more interesting stuff. The style, the clothes is different from Hong Kong, and some are cheaper. Yes, that's why we came.
There are some foreigners who say they'll return to Korea just for this event. Every year, the number of participating companies also continues to rise, with the figures doubling over the past 4 years.
Since the Dongdaemun area is Korea's fashion mecca, we offer the latest trend in fashion and continue to work hard to spread Korean fashion to the entire world. Also, through extensive hospitality training, we hope to provide better customer services to our foreign customers, so they have the most convenient shopping experience.
With more added shopping benefits and an expanding list of participating companies, the Korea Grand Sale is expected to grow and expand over the years.
Some fancy event there.
That's right, huge event, a huge welcoming as well. Now, according to a survey and figures that were shown, those people who had prior knowledge and knew about the event and timed their trip to Korea accordingly had jumped from 30% in 2012 to 60% in 2013. So this is spreading word about this.
But I mean, there has been some criticism by the local media as well on its performance. I mean, it is a relatively new event, so we have to give it needed some time, but it is trying to set itself apart from other global shopping festivals. Discounts, I believe, are not limited to department stores, but it's also offered in local wholesale supermarkets as well as convenience stores.
That's right, quite amazing. But to make the most out of these discounts, you need to download your coupons. Don't forget, it's important. You can go to their official website and download this coupon that's right here. You can do it with using your smartphones or your tablet PC. There you go. So you can just take it to the shop in question and present this and get your discounts.
All right, it sounds like a lot of fun, a good opportunity for 45 days where foreigners and foreign visitors can actually go out there and get a bargain discount on some of their shopping needs.
That's right. Well, still ahead on Korea Today. We are on the 6th day of the new year. How are we doing on New Year's resolutions? Hope you're losing weight. Yeah.
Horribly.
Other than quitting smoking, going on a diet, and studying foreign languages, we look at what commitments people have made and how they opened their 2014 with Chamina. Stay tuned for that.
And now we're going to turn our focus to East Timor. It's a country that's roughly the size of the Netherlands with a population of 1.2 million. There is a university there called the National University of East Timor, and a professor has helped introduce Korean studies to his programs.
His name is Choi Chang-won, but not only does he teach the Korean language, he does what he can to make the country more environmentally friendly. Let's meet him right now. Located east of Timor Island between Indonesia and Australia is a small country called East Timor. Since the 16th century, it had been a colony of Portugal and then Indonesia, but after continuous efforts for independence, it became the first country to gain independence in the 21st century. Most of its land is mountainous jungle region, but it does have rich natural resources like oil and natural gas. However, due to the prolonged independence war, their GDP per capita was only at $623 as of 2010. In June 2013, a Korean Studies Center was established at the National University of East Timor. Previously, there had been language centers that taught English and Portuguese, but there wasn't a department devoted to the studies of one country. Many were surprised that a Korean Studies Center was established even before one was established for the global language English.
Students' level of the UNTL is at the top inside Timor-Leste. Based on my experience teaching the 5 years in UNTL, more and more students want to study Korean languages. From the last semester, some students wanted to be a worker in Korea. After graduate, no job at all. The Timor-Leste does not have a factory yet. And then not enough job opportunities. Center for Korean Language Center, Korean Studies, is a look at Korea as a role model. So Korea took the initiative by establishing Center for Korean Studies. Maybe if we success, Korea able to have a very good partnership with Timor-Leste.
Professor Choi Chang-won and his students started a new NGO called the Timor Hope Seller Leadership Center. Choi chose a different path from other Korean NGO activists who normally work with already established Korean branches of international NGOs to secure a steady flow of financial support.
Recipient country people not only try to receive, but also need to participate very proactively. I and my students have a big discussion about what kind of institution we can open. Actually, we decide local NGO. Managerial works, I never touching. I only involved in education perspective. So something education part, I fully control while providing the opportunity. The other management part, my student managing everything. They co-work with the foreigners. They able to keep the localities, and they're able to keep the decision-making power too. So that's the reason that I decide to open the local NGO.
In November 2013, good news came to the Timor Hope Seller Leadership Center, a plastic recycling project they presented to the UNDP, which is the United Nations Central Global Development Network, was selected to receive funding and development support. This recycling project was considered an important project to East Timor, where there is no established environmental law.
My students doing very humble work, putting the tricycle, riding on the tricycle, picking up the plastic pet bottle, and then carrying and parceling it, and then making a pallet to export. Because in Timor-Leste, nobody going to buy. So maybe export to Korea or China. And then we make a certain money. I promise UNDP minimum 100,000 bottles we're going to collect within 6 months. But one thing most important one, this is not for industrial growth, it's for environmental campaign. That's a top priority.
It was only by chance that Professor Choi met with the Chancellor of the National University of East Timor and was offered to teach students in East Timor. Choi says East Timor is ideal for exchanges with Korea.
Here's the point why Korea is important. Korea is a heroic country. In terms of the development history, Korea's performance extraordinary. Only we don't have gas and oil, some rich resources. But Timor-Leste case, natural resource, only what they have. Timor-Leste need higher qualified human resources. Almost 500 colonial history, Timor-Leste people did not have opportunity to learn. Not just giving the money. Tell them, educate them, provide opportunities. And then they need something, and then they're able to decide what they need. We need to treat people, even Timor people, not as just a recipient. We need to treat them as some people who has a great potential, so that they're willing to move, they're willing to choose.
Right now, not only does Professor Choi Chang-won teach the Korean language at the university, he is also busy teaching world history, foreign diplomacy, and other various subjects. So what does the future hold for him in East Timor?
The biggest one I took from the Timor-Leste is appreciation and something feeling that I able to manage my life. I able to be a destiny maker. While I stay in Korea, I feel very difficult to have. Maybe I feel like some part of some institution. Well, I don't have a clear big choice. But in Timor-Leste, if I do my work, do my best, many people able to agree.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sangsung Cho, and welcome to Hot Clicks. Today, we start with figure skater Kim Yona, who won Korean figure skating championships yesterday. And especially with the Sochi Winter Olympics approaching, there are many Kim Yona-related news popping up online these days. And among them, Kim Yona's past pictures are resurfacing. She performed a free skate to the music of Les Miserables last season and conquered the 2013 World Championships. But according to pictures online, there's a reason why Kim Yona's performance was impeccable. Jean Valjean, the main character in Les Mis, was thrown into prison for 18 years just for stealing bread. And who else likes bread? Kim Yona admitted it to herself in an interview some time ago that she's a bread and pastry fanatic. Do you see the connection there? There are numerous photos captured by her fans right at the moment when she's looking at bread and eating bread as well. But she said that she usually has to restrain herself from eating bread and pastry because of weight management. Next month, she will be entering the last competition of her career at the Sochi Winter Olympics. So I hope she does her best and will be able to eat bread and pastry all she wants afterwards. Of course, she definitely deserves it. Now, talking about miserable, here's a question. What could be men's worst nightmares when dating? You'll probably hear a lot of them say shopping with their girlfriends. I'm sure a lot of male viewers out there can relate to the photos I'm about to show you right here. Here are pictures of men all looking exhausted and resting after long hours of shopping. I think these are common scenes that you can see not just here in Korea, but also in any part of the world really as well. It's funny, but you also have to feel bad at the same time for all these men, regardless of their nationality and age, all looking completely drained of energy. Well, poor guys, I think all shopping centers around the world should have a designated resting area for men. And that will certainly save a lot of guys from misery. And here are guys who are holding on to the belongings of their girlfriends and wives so that they can shop around more freely. And that's a sacrifice right there, all in the name of love. Well, let's switch gears a little bit and move on to our next story. You might remember this from our Trending Now segment a couple of months ago. Bubble wrap is one of the most popular winter items here in Korea. If you attach it to windows in your home, it becomes a wonderful insulator as it keeps the warm heat inside. But one online user revealed how this ordinary bubble wrap can transform into a piece of art. All one needs is some printer ink and a syringe. Can you already guess how it's made? As you can see, each bubble is filled with ink injected with a syringe. Many web users marveled at how this user came up with this idea, and some are worried more about what might happen if someone leans against the window and pops all the bubbles by mistake. That would be a complete disaster. If you're an animal lover like myself, what can be more exciting than getting a new pet? But what would you do if this happened to you as well? This post is titled, "I brought home a new dog, but don't think I can keep it." And it is spreading fast on various online communities. You'll get the idea of what it means by looking at the pictures. There are 17 pictures in total, as you can see the number going up right in the corner of the picture. And you see the same dog in the same position from different angles, all jumping in mid-air. And that's quite a height the dog got there as well, and you can just imagine the dog frantically jumping up and down nonstop. To me, the dog looks adorable, but you kind of get the picture why the owner would be so reluctant to keep the dog on the rooftop. The owner writes at the end that he thinks the dog needs to be sent to the countryside where it can run around more freely. And you can see comments after comments, all filled with laughters by people who viewed this post. Let's move on to our last story and talk about food. Korea's signature winter street snack, 붕어빵, is loved by all generations, of course. It's basically a piece of bread shaped like a 붕어 or carpfish, which is where the name 붕어빵 is derived from. And it has red bean paste filling in it. The taste, delicious, but it's exceptionally good with the cold weather because you get to eat hot 붕어빵 made right on the spot by street vendors, and it makes you feel warm just by eating it. And now these days, 붕어빵 is evolving, and pictures of different types of 붕어빵 are getting a lot of views on Facebook. From sweet fillings like custard creams, mashed sweet potatoes, and chocolate, to more flavor-intense fillings like pizza toppings and kimchi. And what about the size? From tiny fingernail-sized 붕어빵 to giant 붕어빵 bigger than real fish. There's so many to choose from. It's more like a joyful agony, I think, trying to pick which one to eat from all those choices. Yummy. Well, this is all I have for you today on Hot Clicks. I'll see you guys again next Monday.
Thank you, Sangcho. I think I can pop in those 10 of those tiny little 붕어빵s.
All right. I mean, they're so warm. Excuse me. They're so warm and nice, and it's perfect for the winter. And we're speaking of winter. We were talking about the winter festivals, how this warmer temperatures have actually put a damper on some of the winter festivities. But we have one for you that you can check out.
That's right. Idami joins us from a strawberry farm.
All right. Dami.
I'm back reporting live from Namyangju, Gyeonggi-do Province at the Sangsung Strawberry Farm that is located here. Now, with the cold, wintry days outside, it's quite warm here inside because right now I'm at a greenhouse where they are cultivating winter strawberries. Now, outside the temperature is about -3.4 degrees Celsius, but inside, right now I have a thermometer with me and it says that inside the greenhouse it's 8.6, I think 8.4 degrees Celsius. So now strawberries need a warm place to grow, and here the greenhouses are provide the perfect environment for the strawberries to grow. Now here in Korea they say that strawberries grow between the months of December to the next year of May. They say that strawberries cultivated in the winter taste a lot sweeter and they have less of a bitter taste to it. Now the reason is because the cultivation process itself takes 2 months longer than it would in the spring. Now the ripening process, it does take longer in the winter, but the strawberries accumulate more nutrition and sweetness. In fact, because winter strawberries taste much better, many people tend to look for strawberries this time of the year. According to a report from one of Korea's major retailers, winter strawberries have exceeded mandarin sales for the first time. Now here's an interesting fact. Did you know that strawberries contain 1.5 times more vitamins than mandarins and 10 times more vitamins than an apple? They say that if you eat 7 strawberries a day, then you have already intaken the amount of vitamins that are necessary for the day. Now, since I'm here at the strawberry farm, I can't go without tasting some myself. So they say that when you look for a ripe strawberry, it usually has a certain glow to it. Yeah, like this glow right here. And the vines are nice and green. They say that the ones that are lumpy and are bulky are not quite ripe. So I kind of learned how to pick strawberries. So here we have a ripe strawberry, let's see, around here. What you want to do is kind of place the vine with your middle finger and your ring finger, and then you point it up towards the sky, and then you kind of just pull on it. Ta-da! All right. Okay, so I think I can eat it right now. Let's go ahead and try it. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so sweet. Delicious. So inside these greenhouses, they provide the perfect environment, and always having the fruit when it's in season is always the best. I know the weather is really cold outside these days, but why not come on by here, because they do provide hands-on experience programs where you can harvest your own strawberries and take them home with you. So I think it's the perfect way to enjoy the winter by having some delicious strawberries. This is your look at a strawberry farm at Namyangju. I'm Idami, Korea Today. Oh my God.
Well, while Kim Yona obviously took center stage during the National Figure Skating Championship, there were 2 other figure skaters that looked impressive on the ice as well. Now, the so-called Kim Yona's kids, Park So-yeon and Kim Hae-jin, seems to get better and better with each competition, as the 2 16-year-olds finished 2nd and 3rd behind their role model Kim Yona. Now, Park So-yeon would score 52.31 on the short program, followed by an impressive 125.86 in free skating for a total of 178.17, while Kim Hae-jin started off strong with a 58.48 in the short program, followed by a weaker free skating performance to finish 3rd with a 159.75 overall. Now, the 2 figure skaters will be competing at Sochi with hopes of finishing on the podium as well. And now moving on to 2013-2014 and WKBL All-Star Game. The Stars came out to Chuncheon Hoban Stadium for the annual matchup, and it was quite a close game. Just a back-and-forth game from the start as the Central team led by Han Chae-jin took a slim 22-20 lead before going into halftime with a 44-43 lead. But in the 3rd quarter of the game, the South team kicks it up a notch thanks to Shinhanbaek's Kim Da-bin Tam-bi as they rally back to take a 5-point lead going into the 4th quarter. The Central team continued to push hard but falls short as the South team takes this game 98-90 to win for the first time in 5 years. And over to some Sunday's KBL action as Ulsan Mobis Phoebus cruised past Incheon Itilan Elephants 83-63 with the Seoul Samsung Thunders beating Cheonju KCC Aegis 80-71. So with that, let's take a look at the Goyang Orions take on the Changwon LG Sakers. Now, first quarter of the game, Anthony Richardson leads the way with 8 points for the Orions as they take a 19-13 lead before outscoring them 24-19 in the second quarter to go into halftime with a comfortable 43-32 lead. Not much difference in the second half of the game as well, and despite Chris Massey lighting up in the fourth quarter, the Goyang Orions hang on to take this game 82-75, your final score. And now finishing things off with some Sunday's V-League action, the IBK Altos continue to dominate the Women's League as they beat Daejeon KGC in straight sets 3-0. Meanwhile, the Hyundai Capital Skywalkers took on Samsung Bluefang, so let's take a look at the highlights. Of course, going into the game here, Hyundai Capital looking very strong from the start as they take the first set 25-18 before cruising through in the second set 25-23 to take a 2-0 lead. But the Bluefangs answer back with a monster third set win 25-15. Leo Martinez puts up game-high 40 points, but Liberman Algamez, despite his 15 errors, still puts up 39 attack points as Hyundai Capital takes the fourth set 25-22 and a 3-1 victory to take first place. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day and see you guys again for your sports needs.
New Year's resolutions made frequently become New Year's resolutions broken by about this time.
Right. I haven't gotten over a bonjour. I'm still on bonjour.
We haven't started yet.
Well, yeah.
But that was for last year, right?
Yeah, so it just keeps on coming
resolution.
back. And how are we doing on reading books?
I have to work on it still. I'm going to ask Mina for some tips. So
That's right. Mina joins us with more on resolutions.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Yes, that's right. What is it about resolutions? They're so easy to make up, yet they're so easy to break. And we're going to be looking at reasons why maybe that is the case. In Korean, there's a phrase called 작심삼일. And this means, yes, and it's frequently used around this time of year when people are thinking of what resolutions to make for the new year. And it means that whatever you decide to do to change about yourself, it won't last for more than 3 days. So it's a frequently used expression during this time of year. But the people I encountered last week, actually, they seemed pretty confident, pretty determined to stay committed to their resolutions. And we're going to be taking a look at them and meeting them. So let's find out more. January 1st, 2014, the first sun rises high along with hopes for the new year.
That's the way to do it. Determination.
We came here because there's going to be a swimming competition held in celebration of New Year's Day.
It must be freezing.
새를 가지고 왔습니다. 직장이 좀 잘 풀리고 잘 되도록 그런 마음에 참가하게 됐습니다.
Despite the bitter cold, the reason why many people have decided to take part in this swimming competition is to commit to their new goals.
Oh no.
Are they gonna do what
They're doing it.
Wow.
And guess how cold it is? It's 5 degrees Celsius, yet 500 people have come out to participate.
It's painful just watching.
Oh, the whole family's there.
Anyone brave enough to jump into the water was honored with a medal.
진짜 쉽잖아. 어떨 것 같아요?
느낌 좋습니다. 들이대. 좋습니다.
전 시집 가고 싶어요.
After swimming in the ocean on New Year's Day, I feel like I washed away all the dirt, residue, and stress from last year. Now I'm full of energy.
Meanwhile, business opened up again on January 2nd, and we saw that workers were excited to go to work in the new year.
You sure about that?
In Korea, before resuming work, companies hold a New Year's kickoff ceremony with their employees. Because 2014 is the year of the horse, we visited a special kickoff ceremony. This is the only place in Korea that runs horse races, so an interesting ceremony that only the Korea Racing Authority can put on is taking place. Company executives ride in on horses to wish for good luck in the new year, and there was a popular horse gala show. This was very popular last fall, very different from previous ceremonies. This was an event that all employees enjoyed.
Unlike previous kickoff ceremonies, this was unique and special because we are celebrating the year of the horse.
I really enjoyed the special kick-off ceremony.
말같이 달리는 한 해가 되겠습니다. 화이팅!
It's not just companies that are renewing their determination for the new year. It's also at the personal level. The number one New Year's resolution for Koreans is losing weight. Every January, gyms become packed with people determined to exercise after the New Year holiday.
That's where I should have been last week after the New Year.
Since it's a new year, I'm determined to exercise and lose weight.
And since January is very cold in Korea, many opt to exercise indoors.
이번에 꼭 빼자. 여자친구 사귀어야 되지.
You should have interviewed Yona.
But there's only a handful of people who continue to go to the gym throughout the year. Most of them quit midway.
Last year, I stopped exercising. I'm determined to get fitter and work out this year.
There was a time.
Another popular New Year's resolution is to study English.
How about you? What's your favorite food?
Similar to fitness centers, in the beginning of the year, language institutions see a sharp increase in enrollment and sales of English language textbooks, and everyone has their own reason, of course, for wanting to study.
I'm studying English in hopes that it will help me get a promotion.
I'm studying English because my goal is to be able to have a conversation freely when I travel abroad.
You should have said that in English.
Study fighting!
Some people believe it's better to commit to their New Year's resolutions as a group.
As you would expect from this era of technology, people who don't know each other have gathered with the help of social media.
So these are strangers, huh? Interesting.
These people met online through social media for a get-together titled Workers Who Will Help Keep Each Other Accountable in 2014. And under the guidance of a professional speaker, the group made New Year's resolutions, shared their plans, and each person brought a memorable book they read last year and exchanged it within the group.
The author of this book visited the top 10 happiest countries and shared what made those people feel happy. Since it's the beginning of a new year, I think it's a good time to think about happiness.
In 2013, I'm determined to finish my graduate school thesis. I hope I get a raise in 2013.
This was a meaningful gathering to start the new year for these people, since they were also able to make friends.
I wanted to bring strangers together to provide support for each in the new year. I'm glad to have arranged this meeting, and I hope we continue to meet throughout the year.
This was a look at new hopes and challenges people have to improve their lives in the year 2014.
That support group must be effective. That's pretty nice.
It's hard for you
to break the resolutions, right?
Different New Year's resolutions. And I believe there are cool gadgets to help you keep those New Year's resolutions.
Absolutely. It's sometimes as simple as having that little push to help you that much more motivated. There are some new gadgets out in the market for those who need that little extra push to keep them motivated. There are, for instance, people who want to quit smoking, ashtrays that make a coughing noise when you spill ash into it, and that discourages people and reminds people.
This?
And there's also an ashtray that is in the shape of a human lung, and also a piggy bank for non-smoking, as well as a gun alarm clock we're looking at here.
What's
and this
that?
requires you to shoot down the target in the morning.
So it's hard
and that
for you
is
to...
the only way you can turn off the alarm.
Oh, exactly.
We could use that, I suppose, in the morning.
I'm going to be annoyed all morning
Right.
trying to turn off that alarm.
I mean, instead of pushing the snooze button, it's a good way to kind of wake up and bring you to your senses in the morning, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Interesting.
Have you concentrate all early in the morning. But whatever the situation is, some of these resolutions are very hard to keep. So do try take it one day at a time. And I will start mine today.
Really? You've heard that before.
I just haven't
I've
started
heard that
yet.
before.
That's actually a good tip to tell people what you're going to be doing, so we can help you keep
All right,
the
well,
resolution.
Thank you very much for this report.
Thank you very much.
All right, that brings us to the end of our Monday edition of Korea Today.
Have a great Monday, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.
Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.